Hi, my name is Brittany and I live with chronic illness. For those of you who have seen other videos that I've made here on YouTube, you know that I have a condition called MGUS, which is monoclonal gammopathy of undetermined significance. It is the first stage of possible other stages to cancerous conditions, and it is currently, depending on the doctor you talk to, considered either precancerous or benign. It just depends on which doctor you speak to. However, there's cancerous cells in the bone marrow. It's just not enough to do any life-threatening damage. But like many people who have MGUS, I have other conditions. And the other condition that I have, and I just found out pretty recently about, is called EDS, or Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is a connective tissue disorder or syndrome. It's not a disease like MGUS, but it is something that affects every part of the human body because it affects the collagen. However, I am currently waiting to have genetic testing done because I do have some Marfan traits as well. So what the genetic testing will do, even though seeing me in office and seeing what my body can do, what my children can do, they want to be sure that we're properly typed and that it is differentiated between Marfan syndrome or EDS. So this is just a preface leading up to what's coming next. This is just an introduction to a video I made yesterday. I turned on the video, and I'm not even sure why I filmed this moment. I think it's because lately so many people who have seen my videos or have read some of my work have reached out to me just saying thank you for talking about what's going on, because I think a lot of people have a hard time talking about their health issues, and especially if it's chronic, because in our society and just in the world in general, acute illness we can understand a little bit, and there's treatments and there's things you can do to get better and hope to get better. But when you have a chronic illness, it's just something that for a lot of us, especially if you have EDS and MGUS, it's never going to go away. I will always have EDS. I will always have MGUS until MGUS either turns into something else or I die. I will always have both conditions. And what is the hardest part about both of these conditions is there are no treatments. There's most cancers, if you find it early, it's great because then there's something you can do about it. It's not that way with MGUS. You have MGUS until it turns into something much worse and you're dying, and that's when they start doing something for you. And to me, as a 28-year-old, almost 29, that's not good enough. With 4 young children at home and a husband, it's not good enough to just wait until I'm dying. So I'm in a position, unlike many people, who I can be vulnerable about my conditions and what it does to me and my body and what it's like living with chronic illness. Not everybody with chronic illness has the freedom to talk about it because they have jobs and responsibilities and people to please. And I'm in a position where my husband told me, you can stop working and you can stop teaching, and you need to focus on your health and our family and just being happy and feeling good. You don't have to push your body just so we can make it. And I am one of the very few people who have that luxury. A lot of people, and even if they were given that option, may not even want it because they love what they do. So they can't talk about their illnesses, and at least not openly and freely. So I feel it's my responsibility to you guys to talk about it because you may not be able to. You know, I've had police officers reach out to me. I've had nurses, doctors. I've had other teachers, just people reach out to me and say, thank you so much for being vulnerable and open about it. I have issues too, and I've even had some people reach out to me and say, you know, I have it a lot better than you, and I'm praying for you, and that feels good too. I feel like the more we talk about chronic illness and what it's like to live with chronic illness, the more people can understand and realize we're not faking it. We don't want anybody to feel bad for us. You know, sympathy does feel good. It feels good for somebody to understand you, but we don't want you to feel bad or to cater us or baby us. As somebody who was working a normal job and things like that, I just wanted people to understand that when I showed up and I looked rough, it was because I felt rough. And every day it was hard. And there's days I had to duck out early and people, oh, why? And you feel so bad. And I think some of that I put on myself too, because I felt I was burdening other people because of my health needs. And that's not fair either, because a lot of us with chronic illness want to work. We want to be part of society, but we also are criticized for trying to be a part of society with our illnesses, because we do sometimes need accommodations. So how I look right now is my public face. This is how I look when I go out into the world, but this isn't me 90% of the time. And the video that I'm showing next is a video of me pretty much every other time. Me as Brittany, who is living with a chronic illness. Today's been interesting because it's been a good day and a bad day all wrapped up into one. And you really want to ask yourself sometimes, at what extent is it okay to be vulnerable and honest? And how much should you hide? And why is it that when we are ill, we are asked to hide? Because it's uncomfortable for other people. And actually, honestly, I don't know why the expectation is for those who are chronically ill to hide. Why we don't talk about it. Why we don't discuss these things. When I'm out and about, and I try to be out and about and around people as much as I can, I do put on my best face. I put on clothes. I try to look presentable. I've had a searing migraine for 3 days now, resulting from the weight of my head on my neck. Not a normal migraine that can be fixed by controlling my veins. And what's harder still is there's nothing. Doctors, I think, don't even know really what to do, because there's only so much they can do and want to do. And with the nature of our world and people, real help isn't always available. Medicine that can help us, it's politicized. I don't know why I'm even filming this, other than I don't think we should have to keep a secret. I don't think we should broadcast it or have to broadcast it, but talking about it, just so people understand. I can't tell you how many times people have made me feel bad for saying no to not only optional things, but required things, because I physically can't. That what's going on with me isn't just one thing. I am one of those lucky people who drew the genetic jackpot and got genetic issues on top of environmental issues and a cancer that will maybe never progress, but will still be in my body and affect me in ways like this. A tiny scab fell off and I had blood dripping down my face for about an hour because my blood counts get a little off and bleeding is a risk. I'm prone to infection every time I travel, which I was talking to another person living with MGUS like me. Every time we travel, we get sick. Every time. Everybody will be fine, but we pick up whatever we're traveling with, and we do feel like we have to wear a mask. And she was actually talking figuratively, you know, wearing a mask, pretending you're okay when you're not, which we do. But I was saying, oh yeah, sometimes I actually have to wear a physical mask, and it freaks people out. And sometimes humor gets us through these situations. It's not always easy. It's not just, oh, you don't feel good, try to feel good. I try to feel good, and there's days where I'm out in public and going to a function or something I need to go to, and I have to sit, because if I don't sit, I will fall and pass out. But people go, then why don't you stay home when you feel that way? Well, if I did that, then I would never leave the house. And it would be very rare that I leave the house. I've had a lot of people ask me about my tremors. I can't help it. I feel weak sometimes, and it's sometimes hard to tell if it's the EDS or the MGUS doing it. And every day I kind of ask myself, which is it that's doing this to me today? And some days it's glaringly obvious, because EDS affects my joints and my ligaments and my muscles and my tissues, where MGUS affects my immunity and my bones. So where the EDS doesn't affect me, the MGUS does. So my whole body is affected, and EDS affects the collagen, and collagen makes up the entire fabric of your body. There's collagen in everything. So one day my eyes may not be able to focus and I can't see anything. Another day my wrists keep dislocating, and actually they're permanently subluxed. Some people have asked me about why they're so big and bumpy. They are permanently subluxed. They're not in joint. Anytime I lift anything heavy with my wrists do disconnect. They're not connected properly. I have fixed elbows. I don't know if anybody's ever realized that my arms are bowed. They're stuck in flexion. That is the Marfan traits. I got stuff like this that most people shouldn't be able to do. I got really long hands. A lot of people have noticed my hands and feet are really long and skinny. In comparison to maybe the size of my fist, which I guess if I had it closer to my body, you can see size-wise my fist, and then when I unfurl my fingers, and they're freakishly long. The same with my feet, long toes. Then again, you know, it's different for everybody, and I'm one of the lucky ones. I know I'm one of the lucky ones, because there's a lot of people with EDS who are permanently disabled. They can't do anything. They can't do a lot. I am not one of those people. I have good days and bad days. And with the MGUS, I am one of the unfortunate ones with that one, because a lot of people with MGUS, because it is the first stage, and a lot of us who are in the first stage don't progress past the first stage, and those of us who are young, we do have a long time to progress and have full-blown myeloma, but that's not the point at the moment. A lot of people don't have symptoms, and I'm not that person. I have bad immunity. I, for the most part, physically, with the surgery I had, I'm healing very well in my jaw. However, I noticed just here in the last few days a deep ache as soon as I ran out of my antibiotic. I was done taking my antibiotic, and I've noticed there's been a deep ache in the tissues, and physically it's looking okay. Again, I don't know. I only know my body, but it's tough. I don't know why I'm choosing to film myself like this. I don't feel comfortable. We'll see if I even post this at all ever. But I think for the sake of transparency, and just to say these days exist, and this is my reality, and I don't want sympathy. I don't want to feel this way. I don't want my head to hurt every day, my eyes to hurt, and I don't want being a mom to be something that's physically exhausting. So at the end of the day, I am just pushing with everything I have to just get to the end of the day. I don't like it. I don't love it. It doesn't make me happy. This is not what I want for myself. or my kids, or my husband. And I don't want sympathy. I want to feel better. So, with that being said, if you can donate to EDS, Ehlers-Danlos foundations for research, that would be awesome. So we can have treatments, because there's no treatments. There's just like band-aids, pretty much. They give us braces and surgeries, but there's nothing to really hold us together, our collagen. We need treatments. You can also go through the Marfan Foundation, and you can also go through the Multiple Myeloma Research Foundation and the International Myeloma Foundation, and even the Lymphoma and Leukemia Foundation, or .org. They all fund research towards these kind of conditions, my conditions. That's what I really want, is to have a cure or treatments, because neither one of these things I have going on with me have anything substantial to offer at the moment, and that's the biggest thing for me. So thank you for watching, and I'm sorry it was so pitiful and awkward. I promise not to do this very often. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.